Welcome back, everybody. This week we are working on putting the battery box in, running power up to the front, to the dash there, and put it in our master cutoff switch and our charging blocks. First, let me get the master switch and the charging blocks, and I'll show you. Okay, right here is our charging blocks. We got one for the ground and one for the positive. I'm thinking about, get with Jameson over there, thinking about mounting these in the fuel door. That way you can open the fuel door and you can see them. We just got to make sure that there's nothing to be around to get the positive when you're hooking the battery charger up to it. But I know pretty much everybody knows, but this is so you can charge your battery without having to open the battery box or anything like that. You'll run cables to this, then you'll hook your battery charger up to this outside the car, and it'll charge the battery. And of course, then we got our master cutoff switch. I've actually got a brand new one somewhere. This is a good one, but I've got a brand new one. We're probably gonna mount it back here, like in the tag location. He's got this nice little NMRA. I don't know if many of y'all remember that. Back years ago, they went from like the Fun Ford weekend and NMRA come about, and a big Mustang and Ford race and stuff. Well, he's got one of those vintage tags to go in his tag location. And he's wanting to put that through there and have the switch on the tag, kind of like I got on the coupe over there on my Ford Motorsport tag. But that's what we're fixing to get into today, is mounting the battery box and getting these mounted and running our cable. Okay, right here's his battery box. It come to us off of, I think he ordered it off eBay. It's completely sealed. We're going to mount it probably right in here. I just need to get it squared in. I'll drill a couple holes to mark it, and then we'll move the box out of the way, get the step bit, and drill the big holes in it. Here's all the stuff for it. Here comes the cable. Here is the vent tube. Got a vent to it to vent it outside the car. Directions. The threaded rods, like I said, these will go through the floor. Nut on the back and the nut on the top to hold the battery box down in place. Then the lid will slide over it and it will hold the lid down. Here's our ground. Here's the battery hold down bar. Then of course all our nuts and bolts. It's probably not top of the line system, but it's not real bad, especially for off eBay. No more than we paid for it. But what I'll do here, like I said, I'm going to get it squared in where it looks good and straight. Don't want to open the trunk and this thing or the hatch, and everybody look at it and it's like, boy, could you got that a little crooked? We want it to look the best we can. So like I said, I'll drill those holes, and then we'll get the threaded rods through it. And like I said, we've done got the box. You have to assemble it. And we done put the grommets in it for the cables, and then there's the vent, where the vent tube hooks up. And like I said, I've got kind of a rough idea where I want it, and I've done checked the hatch to make sure it would clear. So like I said, the main thing now is just making sure I get it straight. Like I said, we'll drill our 2 pilot holes. And like I said, I'm putting the cables to this side because that way we can run right out to here for our charging blocks, and then we can run right over here to our main cutoff switch, and then we'll come out right here to go up to the power box. So let's get to work.
Make sure I'm still. Maybe crazy to do that big deal over getting it positioned, but I just like for everything to kind of look halfway right. It's not like it's all just jacked in. And the battery.
That spot right there on that is wore out.
Then you get to that spot on that one, it's wore out. So it's about time for a couple new bits.
It's been cold in this shop. And this paint we sprayed on this thing still kind of green. Doesn't look like it'll work. Now, that's what we'll do here. We take our nuts out. We start one up on a rod. We thread it through far enough. Let me get y'all a little closer on this part. I don't know if I'll get you where you can see what I'm doing or just kind of make it worse. But anyway, we thread that nut through just a little bit. Put a washer on it. And we'll stick it through there like that. Then we'll be able to go up under the bottom and put a nut on it. Let's see if I can find a lock washer, even though once you lock these two together, you're pretty much locking it all down. I'll use that washer down there. Like I said, now I'll go up under the bottom and I'll tighten them up. But one thing I am going to do first, I'm going to set the lid in place. That way it should help tighten them down. Or not tighten them down, but it'll help hold them. It'll help hold them straight up where I want them. Now, there we go. That looks a little straighter. Must have moved it somehow. So like I said, we'll go up under the bottom now. And I won't be able to tighten everything down, but at least I'll be able to go get them all snug. Okay, now here we are under the bottom. I kind of got one started there. You can see the stud sticking through. If you watched the last video, this plate being installed, you can see there's that little better shot of that piece of angle we put through there. But anyway, we got to still get up under here and get all this coated. We want to take some Pour 15 or that, probably take that, what was it, Walmart sale, the Duplicolor, whatever. We'll get us some of that and coat everything under here. Like I said, I don't have nobody up there to hold the top bolts right now, so I'm just going to try to snug these up a little bit. And that's what I was afraid of. It's going to turn the whole thing. I'll tell you what I may do. So since we got so much threaded rod anyway, I may pull them down through here quite a bit, where if we need to bolt anything under the bottom, we can. That's snugged up. Like I said, I may go back and change that here when Jameson gets back up here where he can hold it. We may run these through some, and that way there'll be enough. See how much is sticking through right there? If we run them through about so far and I need to bolt something down here to kind of hang, we got something to bolt it to. Because I mean, this plate right here, this is just like a floor pan. It's a 16 gauge, so it's plenty stout to hold it. Probably end up mounting our fuel pump over this way on the frame rail anyway, but we could make a bracket for like the fuel filter right here. Come off, have the fuel cell coming, hose coming to right here, put the bracket on it, and then run the line over here to the fuel pump and then up to the front. So that maybe what I do is run them down through there some. But anyway, we got them snug right now where we can get back to the top. Okay, so we're back up to the top here, and this will give you kind of an idea. Now you'll put your washer and a nut up here, and this will hold the top down. But we're going to slide this back off. I do kind of wish that they would have made it screw to that a little better, where it wouldn't be pulling up every time you took the lid off. But once you put your battery in here, let me find the battery right quick. Battery will be in here like this. Then this bar will come down right here. Get her centered up where we want it. And then you'll put your nut, put a washer, and a nut and tighten that down. And like I said, we'll have our ground cable. Here's our ground cable. We'll stick it through right here for the go. Battery could usually be a little higher. We may put something under it to kind of help keep it off the aluminum anyway. But then we'll run over here to our ground. We'll ground this somewhere. We'll probably run this over here to the cutoff switch. And then we'll run from the cutoff switch. Like I said, I don't have it on here yet, but the cutoff switch is going to be, like I said, right in here in the tag area. So we'll get it mounted, we'll mark the ground over here to it, and then we'll run from the ground to our ground on the engine, or not the engine, the body. And that'll ground everything. And then we'll run our positive from there up through to the car. So let me get all this stuff cleaned up and out of the way. That way we can start running our cables and we can start test fitting everything. Okay, I got just a little bit ahead of myself. Started running the hot wire. See, we got it hooked into the solenoid there. Run with our other wires. Got it going through a grommet in the firewall there. We used one of our floorboard grommets and had to drill the hole out a little bigger and then drill the hole through the grommet. So that way it's going through the rubber. Because back years ago, me and a buddy of mine was racing down there at Montgomery. And his hot cable on a car he had bought, a Nova, was run just through the firewall. And he was going up there, I think he'd made it down to like, back then it was called the Ultimate Foot Brake Challenge. And that's how many years ago it's been. But anyway, he was going around there to the staging lanes at about 8 cars, and all of a sudden he just disappeared and I couldn't find him. Well, I looked and I seen a blue car. Blue. Anyway, and a cloud of smoke going up. Well, his wire running through the firewall like that had rubbed a hole in it and shorted out. So we definitely learned to make sure them things are in a grommet. Like I said, you kind of see the grommet sticking through right there. But anyway, we're going to run it down along the brake line here, up through to the back, over there to the battery. Right now, I'm not going to cut none of it because we're still just trying to test fit everything. But I've got it stuck in the battery box there. I want to start up there at the front and start zip tying everything and making sure it's all where we need to be. The only problem there too is we want to leave us enough slack because we still haven't put the aluminum dash in or the 10-point cage. He's wanting to put a 10-point cage in there, which has the down bars that go down the windshield post along the A-pillar to the floor. So we want to make sure we got plenty of slack where we can move all that around and cover it up when we go to doing our welding and stuff. But like I said, right now, I'm just going to get everything kind of tied up next to the brake line. I figure if I follow it down, that'll be pretty close to being out of the way. And then we can just shield it when we go to welding. But let's get it run. And that way I can start doing my charging ports. Like I said, I was thinking about trying to build something right here so they would be behind this. But then you got to be worried about somebody hooking it up and not shorting out against the car or each other, putting them in there close together. So I'll look at that before we'll bounce around some ideas. We may just end up putting them kind of down here out of the way. I don't want to put them back here next to the on and off switch because, like I said, if he has his tag he's got, I don't want to cover a lot of his tag up. So, but we'll come up with something if we don't put them down there, or if he's got a couple spots around the tag, we might put them right there. But we'll play with everything and figure out exactly where we're going to put it, and then show you where we're mounting them. All right, so now we're working on our wiring. Like I said, we've got our red wire and our black wire run up here. This goes straight to the MSD box up there. We've got our ground cable. Here's our shutoff switch that is going to mount right about in here. So So now we've got to take this ground cable. It's right here. Let me get where y'all can see a little better. So we're actually going to take this ground cable. We're going to cut it off and put this end on it. But we're going to run it from our switch around over here to our body ground. So I'm going to measure it, get it measured, and see how long it needs to be, and then we'll crimp our eyelet on it. So let's see here. I'm going to say roughly right in here. So we're going to chop it off and see if we can crimp this end on it. Okay, two things I found I want to invest in is a good set of wire cutters. That I do not have. I've had some, but where they've got off to, I'm not sure. I ain't sure that outlet's gonna be big enough now. I'm cutting this wire. Or let me put it that I'm trying to cut this wire. And I don't have my pocket knife. And instead of finding my razor knife, I was using the razor blade. That's real smart. Oh yeah, it's gonna be perfect. Okay. I don't know if you've seen one of them before or not. But this right here is a crimper. Let me snug it up where it won't move around. The thing is spring loaded, but you set your cable in there and you set that down on it and you hit it with the hammer. So let me see if I can show you. You can see it. Let's see here. Focus pretty good right there. Okay. And you raise that up. You stick that right in there. Keep the cable pushed up in it good. And you take your hammer and you smack it. And right there, crimps that cable. Kind of like a factory crimp. And that thing ain't going nowhere. Well, you can make it go somewhere, but it's cramped good. All right, like I said, okay, we're gonna run off this. I wish I had his tag so I could go ahead and drill the hole. But I'm hoping that if we put the tag up there, we can drill a hole through a place where it won't really show that, well, it won't drill right through a word or something, you know what I mean? I mean, we may have to, but if we can help from doing it, you know. Like I said, this one will run around right there. We're gonna have another wire to run off that one and ground to the chassis too, also, and our fuel pump. That's why we got that in there as kind of a multiple ground for back here. We hook him up a tail light or a light back here. We can also ground off that. Like I said, we'll run our fuel pump wire up there to ground it. So it's kind of a multiple place you can put grounds. So now we need to figure out exactly where we're going to put the charging plugs. Like I said, I keep looking right here, but everything I do, it just puts them too close, and I'm afraid that someone goes hooking up the battery charger and don't pay attention, they'll touch them together. But let me get the things and I'll show you. Okay, like I was saying, I was looking at a couple different ways. I was looking at maybe putting them like this, but they're going to have to be in there kind of back where you can shut the lid and it don't touch them. But then I get to thinking, well, someone puts the ground and they don't hook it up right and it lays down there on the positive. Well, same thing if vice versa here. Well, then I thought kind of doing maybe one over here and one over here, and then you can hook the positive, and then you hook the ground. Like I said, shut it and hide it. But still, if someone gets them too close or they're hooking to this and get over against the body, y'all know what's gonna happen. So like I said, it looks like it's back to right in here. Like I said, I'm gonna wait on him to make that call, but that's what we're looking at right now. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and start rounding up the cables to run from these to the box. So when we do decide, we'll be able to go ahead and hook everything up. Okay, so we've still been working on getting our cables mounted. Got this one pulled a little snug because he wanted to put the switch over here on this side. I wanted to put it on this side. Oh well. Well, it looked like a rats or something. Really went to town on them. Good thing we're taking them out anyway. But anyway, we may end up getting a little longer cable here or putting another grommet in a hole right here and putting it right there coming out because I need to put another one out this way anyway. But right here is what I've been excited about. I wanted to show you where we got the switch. Check this out. Boom. NMRA Ford National Series 2011 limited edition. And there's the switch. Off, on, off, on. Check that out. I like the way that turned out right there. Like I said, I want it on this side, but oh well. And that would have made our cable not stretch, but he's afraid he's going to get in the way of the series thing. So, right there it is. Boom. Okay, we're mounting the charging ports now. Got the positive already mounted. Now I'm going to mount the ground. Whew. Only thing about putting them right there, it's not the ideal place inside to tighten them up. Show you right in here. If you can see, it was kind of dark right there. Right down in there is where they'll be, and we'll run our cables down there to them, and we'll be hooked up. All we'll like is our positive, and then running our wires. We got to run 2 wires about like this to our switch panel up there, a ground and a positive. But it's getting real close, real close. Okay, so we're trying to wire up everything. And right now, we've got our wire run. This red one and this black one goes to the MSD box. This red one and this black one is going to go to the switch panel. And the way I've got it wired up, I'm just going to put this one right here instead of running it through the battery box. But the way I've got it wired up is when the switch is off, it kills the ground and nothing will have power. Like that. The button fits better.
Here,
Mm-hmm.
the battery box holds already.
I just moved it the best I could.
So how does it go? switch work?
Turned on.
That's what I'm saying. But by how? Is it by turning like eliminating the ground?
Yeah, that's the way I get it wired up.
Okay, that's what I figured. Dude, that's pretty smooth up there. I like that tag.
I believe we went down. I believe we could have put it on this other side and the thing went.
Yeah, it's as big as I thought it was. Yeah. Is that the opposite or old position? I'm not sure. You can tell by looking.
I was wondering why it's so far over, but then I realized that plate bolts in, so you had to be in the middle.
Yeah.
But fuel cells are
Alrighty. There is the grounds hooked up. So basically now all we like is the hot wire and the hot wire from the charging things. We'll get them hooked up. Okay, so we got pretty much everything except our positive cable run through and the one to our charging port. But we want to seal the box up and see how everything looks. Jameson's about to start debuting his box by pulling the plastic off. So we want to video that. You ready?
Oh, you don't want to leave the fuel cell in?
Yeah, I would. I'll start pulling her off.
See what this was like. I thought it was painted when we first got it. 'Cause, like, this stuff was on there. I didn't.
Yeah, that's that protected stuff. For
I'm saying that's how much this was like. This stuff was on there. I thought it was. Just
we got to put our lid on and cut our. We definitely got to cut them pretty quick because we don't want somebody to mess up and shut the hatch and put one of them through. I don't believe it would hit the glass, but it would be close. I think it'd really go more like right in here, but it would really be close. Ooh, there's a good place for some nice sticker.
Is that painted or is that the same thing?
That's the same thing.
Oh, so we just didn't pull that off.
Nah, I think it's on the bottom. I forgot all about that. We can still pull it off the side and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, well, there it is. We're gonna go ahead and set our top on and mark it and cut them studs, and battery box will be installed and connected. Like I said, right here is our on and off switch. Right over here, I can get by him, is our charging ports. Cables run up through there. We're good to go. So here it is, bolted down, secured, good to go. Next, onto the dash. You ready to tackle that dash?
You want to dash in before we put the roll cage in?
Well, we gotta go ahead and start test fitting everything. So we'll have to get it test fit, figure out how to get it in. Then we'll have to take it out to put the roll cage in. But while we're waiting on the roll cage, we might as well get it test fitted. Till we're racing out.